our next speaker is Mr. Wojciech Mazur. And this is a very special speaker and guest for us today. He is an activist of the Solidarity movement from the city of Gdańsk, the cradle of the Solidarity movement. Mr. Mazur is the eyewitness to the historic events of Gdańsk shipyard strikes of 1980. As a member of the Solidarity movement, he had been actively involved in the anti-communist resistance. He was persecuted by the Jaruzelski regime. For his contributions towards the overthrow of communism in Poland, Mr. Mazur was awarded a Medal of Veteran and Repressed Person. And he is also awarded with the title of the Cavalier of the Cross of Freedom and Solidarity. Currently, Mr. Mazur is a successful businessman in Connecticut, United States. Please welcome Mr. Wojciech Mazur.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year we celebrate the centennial year of Reborn, nationhood of Poland, after three partitions made by the three absolute monarchies of Russia, Prussia, and Austria. In 1918, Poland was reborn, after 123 years of non-existence as a state. How was this possible for the nation to revive its statehood, economy, national identity, and social ties after such a long time? The answer to this question is strength of our culture, tradition, and religion, upheld and carried out by the best daughters and the sons of the nation, by the elites. Therefore, in 1939, during the fourth partition of Poland, the German and Soviet aggressors devised a devilish plan to destroy Polish elites and replace them with their own secret collaborators. This strategy was to ensure a continuous influence of Polish politics without the need of greater war and suppress Polish ambitions for independence. A large scale of extermination of the intelligentsia, Catholic priests, scientists, engineers, and Polish farmers was carried out. From the 1939 until 1990, the two occupying powers faced constant resistance and uprisings. One of such insurrections was a national general strike that led to the legalization of the Solidarity Independent Self-Governing Trade Union in August 1980. It was an unprecedented achievement in the fight against the tyranny of the communist Soviet regime on a global scale. This resistance was inspired by 1979 election of the Polish Cardinal Karol Wojtyła to papacy of the Catholic Church. This election was perceived in Poland as an example of ennoblement of the nation. The words of John Paul II, "Do not be afraid," were taken literally by the public. Spontaneous strikes began to erupt in various parts of Poland from then onward. The culmination of the strikes took place at the beginning of August 1980. The emergence of the massive solidarity movement at the moment was a decisive component in the overthrow of communist regime in Poland and can be characterized as follows. First of all, the solidarity movement was one of the largest non-violent movements in the world, second only to the struggle of the Gandhi movement. The 10 million strong solidarity movement fought not only for the freedom of Poland, but also for the freedom of the entire democratic world. Secondly, the solidarity movement issued a program called the Self-Governing Commonwealth of Poland, which empowered the Polish people in their relations with the communist government. Thirdly, the solidarity movement was rebuilding the moral, interpersonal relations in the Polish society based on Catholic social teachings that had been destroyed by the communist system. Based on these principles, a peaceful process began to over from the totalitarian state the areas of the life that the communist regime controlled. In a short time, communists were losing power, taken away in peaceful way. This process posed such a great threat to the regime that after 1 year of relatively free operations of the Solidarity movement in Poland, the communists on December 13, 1981, introduced the martial law. They attempted to violently destroy the movement, which between August 1980 and December 1981 effectively resisted the influence of communists, secret collaborators, and provoked troops. During the martial law, several thousand activists were interned and imprisoned, and the solidarity structures were forced to go underground. Tyrants tried to discourage the Polish nation from the ideas of solidarity by violence and terror. At that moment, I and almost all young men of my generation joined the fight. At that time, we were 15, 20 years old, and most of us were never the members of the trade union. In this relay of generations, we took over the struggle from the hands of our fathers and grandfathers. We spontaneously created resistance cells and political organizations that formed self-education circles, set up printing underground press, and began staging demonstrations. All these activities were to break the ban imposed on our right to assembly and in protest against censorship. Particularly noteworthy is the fact that nearly 2,500 underground printing shops were created, which break state monopoly of power for information. This is an unprecedented phenomenon in the history of struggle for freedom of speech in the world. I am one of those who have undertaken this kind of fight. We organized an underground society with the full support of my parents and siblings. I organized a printing shop and published magazines and books. Together with my friends in Gdańsk, we organized an underground cultural and educational projects, as well as street protests that had a major impact in Poland's independence. During the underground activity in Gdańsk, I also came across treachery in the structures of Solidarity movement and other organizations. I had to learn to recognize the mechanisms of control of Polish society by the communist occupant. I was witness to prosecution and imprisonment by secret communist services of activists of unyielding attitude and pure biography, acting according to the principles of non-violence. At the same time, those who tried to provoke the terror were roaming free and undisturbed. We avoided such a people as provocators. As a co-founder and participant in youth resistance underground groups such as Alternative Society Movement and the independent groups Agreement Freedom, I came across the efforts to marginalize and obstruct our underground work. Since the time when our magazine, Homek and Reduka, began to criticize Lech Walesa, political appeasement toward the communists, immediately the supply of material needed for printing stopped. We could not count on the Gdańsk region underground solidarity favorable to Walesa, and we had to secure supplies from other regions. As I have already mentioned, Germany and Russia, over the centuries of an unsuccessful struggle with us, created a mechanism of replacing the Polish elites by murdering Polish heroes and introducing corrupt and obedient people into every branch of political and social life in Poland. In light of such practices, it is not difficult to understand the action and betrayal of Lech Walesa, the chairman of Solidarity Movement. His cooperation with the secret services of Communist Poland is fully documented by the Institute of National Remembrance in Poland. Access is free and anyone can verify my statement with archival documents. I present here only some additional facts from my own experience as a supporter of the Solidarity movement in Gdańsk. Let's go back. August 16, 1980. Strikes are developing in Poland, and all eyes of striking workers are turned to a large 16,000 people workplace, the historic shipyard in Gdańsk. Lech Wałęsa breaks the strike, pointing out only to pay raises and persuades the workers to leave the shipyard. We know that but this was the pretense for the regime to stop already developing general strike and torpedo demands put forward by the workers. At that time, the striking committee of the Solidarity Movement issued demands to abolish censorship, guarantee freedom of religion, and register trade unions as entities independent to the communist regime. This attempt of breaking the strike by Wałęsa is stopped by our greatest heroine, Anna Walentynovich, the true hero of the Solidarity Movement, with the help of Alina Pinkowska and Ewa Osowska. At the 3 exit gates of the Gdańsk shipyard, they informed the workers that the demands of the Inter-Factory Strike Committee that directed and coordinated all strikes are binding for all participating factories, and the solidarity strike must go on until full victory. After this dangerous attempt by Lech Wałęsa to break the strike, it was decided to transfer the strike committee to the Gdańsk shipyard. Until that moment, the strike committee operated from the undisclosed places away from shipyard. Andrzej Gwiazda on the picture, Bogdan Borusewicz also, Krzysztof Wyszkowski, and other genuine activists of the striking trade union effectively prevented the strike from breaking, and workers' strikes were extended throughout the entire Poland. In the face of general strike and complete paralysis of the state, the communists bowed and accepted all 21 demands put forward by the Solidarity Movement. The nationwide independent trade union, called NSZZ Solidarność, was formally registered in court in September 1918. Over the years, Lech Wałęsa became known for marginalizing other union leaders who were not linked to the communists, calling them as extremists who strive for confrontation of the Solidarity Movement with the apparatus of the communist state. In the period between 1983 and 1986, Lech Wałęsa marginalized the entire trade union committee. He argued that the mandate of the members of this committee expired after many years of relegalization of the trade union, and only he is entitled to represent the Solidarity Movement. Of course, this was not true, and it was the chairman's duty to convene another nationwide meeting of the Solidarity Movement and properly conduct new elections. Wałęsa acted in repressed Polish society. He had access to mass media, and therefore had a perfect opportunity to insist on the reactivation of the Solidarity Movement and then an open and transparent process of negotiations between the Solidarity and communists. However, he did not do so. Instead, he blocked several strikes between May 87 and August 88 in Gdańsk shipyard. Then later on September 16, 1988, he chose to enter secret negotiations with communists in the town of Magdalena. That is where several high-ranking officers of the Polish communist state met with several self-proclaimed representatives of Polish society. Today we know that in Magdalena secretly and without any social and political mandate, the two parties agreed to sharing power in Poland among themselves. From this meeting, the communists came out with the assurance of impunity and guarantee of participation in the power structures of post-communist Poland. The judicial system, secret service, and the part of parliament have been guaranteed to communists for decades to come. As a result of Magdalena Agreement, no lustrations process was possible in Poland. It is only today that the decommunization of these rotten communist structures slowly takes place. At Magdalena, communists were also given priority in taking over state property through the privatization process. They were allowed to form closed interest groups and consequently corrupted free market mechanisms. For the past 25 years, they managed to block access of non-communist Poles to all power structures in Poland. Lech Wałęsa played a key role in this game, and today Poland pays a very high price for a wrong path on which Wałęsa led the Polish society for decades. Today, when the justice system in Poland is being reformed because of its moral bankruptcy, ineptitude, and corruption, Lech Wałęsa is one of those who opposes the reforms. People representing German and Russian interests and ties are often allied with him. His associates are often openly supported by institutions of these countries and are instrumental in spreading anti-Polish propaganda in the West. This anti-Polish hysteria, promoted by Russia and Germany, advanced accusations against the Polish nation for crimes which they did not commit as Holocaust, and it imputes the political sympathies which they never had, for example, fascism. Polish traditions of liberty are marginalized and gravely distorted. Today, thanks to the Lech Wałęsa and its post-communist peak, while Poland is presented to the world as a threat of freedom. I have full knowledge of the development with respect to the Solidarity movement. Today I am speaking on behalf of the majority of my peers who, like me, risked their life, health and property in fighting communism. And although we have a grudge against the current government for too slow changes and submissiveness in the face of attacks inside and outside, we are trying to support and once again participate in the fight for the liberty and full sovereignty of Poland. We do not give up. We will never give up until victory. Thank you very much.